Hey, what's going on, y'all? So, low key, I'm just a little bit drunk tonight. But you know what? Yo, it's quarantine. We're trying to stay lit, trying to have a good time. But yo, so let's get right into this. And I wanted to talk to you guys about what I think would be some good expectations for the next Spider-Man PS5 or Marvel's Spider-Man 2 or however we should be calling it. But some things that I would like to see out of it and see where they could possibly take things and some stuff I'd like to see personally. But to get this started off nice and simple, I'd like to see a day and night cycle, or if not a day and night cycle, at least be able to change the day and night and the weather in the end game settings after you finish the main story. Because I know they made it to commandeer, how the tone of the story was in certain scenes with, like the nighttime, the daytime, and like the sunset for the story in Spider-Man PS4. But I think that's something they could totally change. I mean, the Amazing Spider-Man game did it, and that was on the Xbox 360. I don't see why any reason why Insomniac can't do it, because if they didn't, I think that would just be a total excuse and just complete laziness and my own perspective on that matter. But anyways, on to the next thing. So I think if they got totally rid of the MJ missions, that would be the best benefit for the immersion of the game, because low key, when I was playing the MJ missions, I literally exited the game as soon as they came on. Like, I just did not care. Like, they were a chore to get through. Because when you're playing as Spider Man, it's fun, it's exhilarating, it's a great time, and you love it. And then as soon as they put you into an MJ mission, it's like, yo, this is clunky, just bum ass gameplay I just don't give a fuck about. And I just want to play Spider Man. I'm not here to play the MJ game. I'm playing the Spider Man PS4 game. I don't give a shit about playing as MJ. It's like, just put it into a well made cutscene and, actually make the relationship a good relationship, not one where Peter just bends to everything that MJ says, because I just can't stand that. It just makes me mad, and I much prefer like a different attitude of an MJ rather than this feminazi one that we got in Spider-Man PS4. All right, next one. I want to see more suits. For example, I'd like to see the Amazing Spider-Man series suits. Say what you will about the series, but you know what? They're still great design suits, especially the first one. That's my one of my all-time favorites. And for example, the Cosmic suit. I would love to see the Cosmic suit and some gameplay, where you can actually see like how it's supposed to be with like the stars and like the galaxy moving at the same time with Spider-Man, depending on how he moves, and possibly maybe like making a super where he gets like 5 times as bigger or something like that. I know that they couldn't make it as big as they would be in the comics, but regardless, I think it would still be cool to make something of that sorts. Some new creativity with some new suits and some new suit powers as well. Plus, I also love the design suits from Insomniac personally, because those ended up looking really cool, like the Velocity and Advanced, except the Advanced could use a little bit less orange and a little bit more red. Next thing, I'd like to see the city made more alive. For example, when you play Red Dead Redemption, you actually feel like you're in the Wild West. It's in a total immersion experience. I don't feel that with Spider-Man PS4. When you're swinging in the city, it feels empty unless you're running on the ground. But who the fuck wants to run on the ground when you're playing a Spider-Man game? Nobody runs on the ground when you're playing a Spider-Man game because you want to swing. And yeah, you can say there's people having rooftop parties and stuff, but how often do you stop swinging to go to look at NPCs on a rooftop party? No, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Next thing I'd like to talk about here is better DLC. The DLC for Spider-Man PS4 felt like a straight up sales pitch to Spider-Man PS5 or whenever the sequel was coming out. Like, it didn't have the same heart as the total main narrative did in Spider-Man PS4, and that's something I'd like to see, the equal amount of writing that went into the narrative for Spider-Man PS4 put into the DLC, because it didn't hit home for me. I felt like I was in a car dealership when I was listening to the writing and the DLC. It was just so bad. I'm sorry, but that's just my own perspective. And something I'd also like to see is the Venom story done properly. And I have faith in this because they did the main story for Doc Ock so well. When I mean, it was so predictable that we knew what was going to happen, but it was still very like riveting and incredible. And I'm sure we all loved it and everything. But I'd like to see them do the Venom story justice. Unlike just what we've seen before was kind of mediocre. I mean, Spider-Man 3, I mean, I love it. It's part of my childhood, but this, I want to see it done perfectly in Spider-Man PS5, and I have fully faith in them that they'll do that right. And one thing that they totally let us on with in the E3 trailer when they first came out with it was the indoor parkour scenes where Spider-Man's busting through the coffee shop, jumping all over the tables and there and whatnot. And then he comes flying out the window in the same scene where he you're like throwing the people off the top of the APC when they're trying to get the Devil's Breath. I'd like to actually see that gameplay implemented into the game and something that you could do during free roam. I think it would be really cool and something that I think a lot of people are looking for to see an actual upgrade in the PS5 hardware, not to just see the same PS4 gameplay just on like a higher resolution and a higher frame rate. We want more. I mean, it's like I'd rather have it at 4K on like 60 FPS doing, things that it's like that are exponential compared to what they're doing right now. And one thing I would really like to see is some Miles Morales gameplay to actually be playing as Miles because that's what they're setting up the story for. And I don't want to play through this entire game and not be able to use Miles' powers during certain parts of the story. I think if you're able to use him at any time, I think it would be a little OP because, on paper, he is basically Peter Parker, but he just has a little bit more powers than he does. And I mean, yeah, you can say Peter Parker has more experience and whatnot, but I'm just saying, I want to play as Miles, and it's got to be done right. And one thing that I think that they could do, this is tiptoeing on some controversial property right here. So I'm saying what they could do multiplayer. One person plays as Peter, one plays Miles. I personally, hear my end of this, I would love to be able to hop on Spider-Man PS4 with one of my best friends. I play as Spider-Man, he plays as Miles Morales, and do some co-op things together, do an open world, swing around the city, do like some of the story missions. One, I think that would be super cool, but it has to be done properly, and it has to be. Um, but yeah, I really think that we're gonna get a really good treatment in Spider-Man, PS5. I hope they do the symbiote suit right. I want to see some good symbiote gameplay. I think they'll do a good job with it. I got faith in Insomniac. They impressed the hell out of me with Spider-Man PS4, but you know what? I have no worries. I think they'll do right by the fans and what we want, and I'm sure that their expectations are, even more what we have for this as well. But, leave in the comments what you guys want to see in Spider Man PS5, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.